I would never suggest a band work like they do, because they're a true, I wouldn't even say a true democracy. Any band member has veto power all the time. So one thing that's cool about the records in general, everything on all of their records, everybody's in the band is down with, which is not common.
And it's like if the art would be hindered by a decision, even if there's money on the table or there's fans at stake, art wins over everyone. Art wins over band members. Like the art lives before everything else.
There was always something to overcome. It seems like as soon as we would get in a stride, something would come up.
Because like I just get in a spot where art's art and making money at art is weird because you have to like compromise something at some point if you want to keep making money.
It's almost impossible.
It is.
It's just art.
It is, and we did it. Like we made our biggest record is a record that we gave middle fingers to everyone. Told the label, we're not listening to you. We fired a producer. Like we did everything. Like if we didn't feel it, it wasn't happening, and we put it out, and it was our biggest record. You could drag this breaking up thing out for a year. Like you could do shows on every continent, you could do a world tour. You could have a year's worth of work just off of the headline of like the last Underoath show in X town. Once you get past the money that you're leaving on the table and you actually look at like the last 12 shows, it's like perfect. You know, we're just ending where we started and it's full circle and it's done and that's all it is.
We should be playing 40 more shows, you know? The kids will be there, guarantee it. Our fans are die hard because I think they appreciated how hard Underoath worked. I think kids can see it when, you know, we cared and we were out there for them.
When they were working on They're Only Chasing Safety, they were I think they were conscious that what they were doing was a special thing, that what they were doing was a unique thing. I mean, they defined this thing, this style, and it's just, it's just awesome. I got to work with a band that's like the best at what they do. Not a lot of guys get to work with whatever band defines a genre.
Seemingly, we can't catch basic flight. It's a prison ship.
I hit my lightning all the time.
So when we first started, I had the only cell phone in the band, and everyone used my cell phone to talk to their girlfriends. And it's funny because my parents had set aside like a college, like a small college fund for me for when I got out, and obviously that wasn't going to happen, so they're just like, you know, use it for whatever you want to do, which is awesome, super supportive. But I got gear with it, but then I remember a large chunk of it went to like paying rent and like huge cell phone bills, because back then it was like, if you make a call outside of state, it's going to be like $50, you know how it was back then.
I think the times as a band off stage were always funner then too, because just dumb stuff to be driving down the highway in a van with a bunch of firecrackers and taking out the money safe, opening it up and putting every firecracker in the van into the safe, just driving down the highway. And then it's like, oh wait, but Chris has got to keep driving, so how are we going to keep the smoke away from Chris so he can see while we're driving and lighting off fireworks? Oh, we'll just put this blanket around it. And then just setting the whole money safe full of fireworks off, and just all of us like under covers ducking bottle rockets shooting out all over the van, stuff burning, people like getting shot and yelling. and then like kind of peering out over the blanket, everything's engulfed in smoke. Chris has the window down. We're driving down the highway. Smoke is just pouring out all behind us, and just absolutely stupid things like that. So to be young,
That sounds awesome.
it was ridiculous.
You want to probably spend a little time
But it's like hearing the shot. The whole day I was in a hotel room. I only woke up to like throw up. And then the next show I played in New Orleans, like on a microphone stand. Like I couldn't even stand up, which is probably what's going to happen tonight. But I'm kind of standing now.
Underoath is instrumental in like what it is we do and what it is all these bands do. Like they paved such an open road. I mean, the spectrum of this band is so wide and so vast because they integrated all these types of music and made them palatable, you know, for like so many different types of people. From us being, you know, what we thought were like the underground, like alternative, you know, have-nots, to kids that were well off listening to fucking whatever was cool at the time, like I don't know, Sum 41 or whatever the fuck, whatever was on the radio, you know. This band like brought us, it sounds so cliche, like brought so many people together. And so they went off of being that band and having that esteem, and they did so many amazing things from They're Only Chasing Safety on. You know, they just kept getting better and better and better, refining themselves and reinventing themselves. And that's what it is to be a band. It's like reinvent yourself, I think. You know, if you're going to be a true, you know, if you're going to make a work of art, it's particular, it's single, you made that work of art, but you don't do it again. You know, you either better it or you do something different and you make another work of art. And that's what they did. They just kept doing new things in this realm. So when we talked about getting on this tour, it was crazy because for us it's full circle. For them, they've had so much time to do everything they've done and meet the people they met. But for us it's full circle. We did that first tour with them in 2011 after Disambiguation, and we didn't really know what they were doing as a band at that point. And then we got to know them and them as people and them as artists, and almost like an overwhelming sense of being humble. Like they're just so down to earth, yet so talented, and now we're here on this tour and they're saying goodbye. And the first thing in my head, and what I said to Grant and Chris and Tim, because they're the ones I spoke with about this tour first, I was like, you can't leave yet.
Somebody asked me the other day if we could pass the torch to anybody, who would it be? And that was a huge question, and I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Yeah, I never really thought about that. They're like, if you could take what you guys have and pass that on to somebody, who would it be? Like, as far as just like, I don't know what that thing would be, but they're just like, what Underoath has, hand that off to another band, who would it be? So yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot, and I really don't know. It's a crazy question to think about. Maybe that's something you could ask some of the other dudes or me if I can come up with an answer. But
one of our first big shows, or what I felt was our first big show, we were playing with a band called Spitfire, Between the Buried and Me, Norma Jean, Beloved, and Underoath in Alabama. And we had just got signed to Tooth and Nail, and we were doing a 5-day tour, and the whole tour was a bust. And on the last day, we were playing with that package, and I didn't really know anything about these bands. And after the show, all the bands kind of gravitated and started making jokes and fake hardcore dancing. And Timmy was really was real lively. He's a character, and he was a character. And having that connection with Daniel Davidson and Norma Jean, because we were friends with them, we instantly became friends with Beloved. We instantly became friends with Underoath. It was almost like a bond or like a family type thing. Because it seemed like, hey, these bands take care of their own and they love their friends. And over this past summer, Daniel was like, hey, we're doing a farewell tour. You know how Daniel talks. So we're doing a farewell tour. And we were like, well, we're not doing anything. How do you think the guys would feel about taking us out? Because they've asked us to go out in the past, but it was like, would our fans mesh with their fans? Would their fans even appreciate what we're trying to do? So that's kind of how that came about. We asked to get on it, and it was a total friend thing. And like, yo, that's a great idea. Let's tour with these dudes on their last tour. Because they're all great people and we love them, and to me that trumps music and that trumps anything when you have a group of great guys or girls and the vibe is just right and you know there's not going to be any beef and no egos. So it just seemed like, yeah, let's go out on their final tour, send them off, you know. So that's how we got on this tour, basically.
Right now what they're doing is no different than what they did when they were writing new albums. You know, this is simply a culmination that they believe is appropriate, and they are the artists, and we have to respect that, and also we have to appreciate it because they've given us so much in the past. Like they're offering everyone an opportunity to kind of regale and remember like what it is that band did. That's what this is. It's not like a goodbye. It's like a remembrance. Like here it is, and you're given another chance to say thanks, and that's what we're doing. Being on this tour is like saying thank you. And being so fucking lucky to be on this tour.
I wouldn't even consider it a breakup. I don't think I've ever even called it a breakup. It just you know, bowing out quietly just left us with, you know, years and years of memories and you know, sitting at bonfires with your acoustic guitars and all your friends and singing Underoath songs and like breakup I think is, you know, this guitar player hates his fucking sing.
I don't know, how many more shows are there on the tour?
There's only 12.
12 more or 12 total?
12 total.
Okay.
The song's about
I've spent more time with the guys on this bus than I have with my wife over the past 10 years, you know. We all are like, we're a family, you know, like in every way possible other than having the same blood.
Nope. Thank you, Brent.
So, I'm super stoked for this freaking tour.
Ditto.
It's insane that it's the last tour that we're ever all going to do together like this with Underoath. It's like, I mean, I know this sounds morbid, but it's like when somebody passes away, it's like they're not really dead. And you see them, it's like, well, I don't get it. That's how this feels right now. It's like, because we've been doing this for so long. I've been with you guys almost 5 years. If you add all the time in together.
I'm glad we didn't send you home the first day. That was
a cool thing about that was Russ had given me like a little breakdown on what everybody was like, so I kind of knew how to approach everybody.
The deal.
Yeah, first day when I first joined. Yeah, he told me like who, like what personalities were. Even it was nothing like mean or derogatory in any way. It was just like this is how this person is. This is how this person is.
Well, hey,
I'm like, okay,
this is
cool.
the last tour, so I mean,
Yeah, let's give us the rundown, Russ.
Tim's a big decision maker. Like if there's ever any problems, he's the one that's going to talk to Randy about it. If there's ever any problems with the crew, I need to talk to you about that. So I come to you like, hey Tim, like this is happening. Like, all right, cool. And here's the funny stuff. He's like, yeah, Tim is real loud at night. He's not aware of his own volume.
What?
I thought he said that.
He said that you're hard to track down. That you often just wander off.
Wow,
that was very accurate.
This is deadly accurate.
Because you go off on the phone somewhere,
I didn't
no one
ever
ever sees you
this.
again.
This may like have y'all regret.
Spencer is super chill, always around, always down for press. Hard to read though, very hard to read. Then he said, Grant obviously huge gamer. I didn't know Grant at all. He's like huge gamer. He's
That's
like,
your briefing, like, yo, before you go in, just
he's like impossible to get a hold of. Like he won't answer his phone or respond to text because he's playing games, and it was totally true.
Deadly accurate.
Oh, down to hang on days off. That was Grant. Down to hang on days off. Chris.
Look at that.
Chris. Yours was a little more colorful. Like you leave things out.
Yeah.
There was a 4-letter word. Slob was it. He said super nice things.
There's a 4-letter word. Slob was it.
He's always down to do press. But yeah, he said that basically you have to be reminded a lot. You're very forgetful. You leave things out and don't know where they are.
Hey, don't forget the part about
Deadly accurate.
Don't forget about the part.
It is.
I
He remembers.
do remember the part about saying that he was always hanging out with kids after the show. I did talk about that.
That's not in my notes.
It's not in the file, bro.
It's true.
But I do always leave things around.
James. James never says anything, very quiet, hates press.
Hates the band.
Yeah, easy going.
Not a big fan of music. Guitar.
Like seedlings.
Your predecessor. There were some notes on him.
When we started out, we were a Christian band.
So we all believed in the same things when we were all 18.
Yeah, we were like youth group kids.
The ministry would be coming first.
People, and this band stands up here in the name of Jesus Christ.
I felt that when Spencer would say, we do what we do for Jesus, and there would be thousands of people listening to that, I would say, okay, cool, I did what I needed to do for today.
From 2004 to 2006, 7, the music industry, as far as the underground world, was booming.
We released Chasing Safety, which is the record that really did anything for us in 2004. We went on Warped Tour for free. We drove ourselves half the time, and we were going through Seattle, I think it was, where our label's from, and they were just talking to us about the record, and like they kept saying all this stuff like, are you guys like getting what's going on?
What we started to build got out of our hands. I think, not saying that we were any sort of pioneers, but I think we were at least somewhat at the beginning of what all this shit is happening now.
It was just a thing where Underoath had become this like just roaring machine, and we were just like caught up in it and just going, and it was just a routine of playing shows and going to the next city, playing a show, going to the next city, doing an interview, writing, recording, going back on tour.
The day we were all 6 of us were in that van for the first time, we were supposed to be exactly the same and never veer from that path. And we were all supposed to go through the same things together. And that's just not real life.
Hey, if you're not riding with us, get off the bus. We good?
Right here.
with it being a farewell tour, I think it will get emotional, and we're only a couple days in now, and it doesn't really feel like a farewell tour yet. I don't know how that's supposed to feel, but it doesn't feel that different than a normal tour at this point. But I think as we get closer to the last day in Tampa, it will kind of sink in a lot more.
I had wondered in the past how long they were going to just keep touring. Because at some point, it was like, you're going to be 40 years old, playing your old songs. It's like, everybody knew that wasn't going to happen. It was just a matter of how is it not going to happen? What are the paths that are going to take? And I haven't talked to them enough. Like, they were here, we did their last 2 songs here as they were kind of agreeing, okay, yes, we're not doing this anymore. Let's do a last tour. Let's, I don't want to say let's go out on top, but I mean, it's kind of like, it seemed like, hey, this is the time for us to all diverge and take our own paths.
The pace that our band lives at, puts me in an easy spot to be a bad husband and a bad father. I can go days, a day without talking to my wife and realize it's like, oh, it's 6:30, and just realizing, seeing this person and going here and then eating lunch and then loading in and then sound checking, and then this being this thing of I've got to call Elizabeth, I got to call back my mom, whatever it is, and realize oh, it's show started, it's 7:30 and it's cold out, and now there's music everywhere and there's not a quiet space, so you just text them sorry, I couldn't talk today. Just a weird pace that completely removes you from your home.
I remember we were on tour with this band that was older than us and that we really looked up to.
And it was around the time that my wife was pregnant with our first daughter. I was talking to one of those dudes, and they were saying that their band always was band comes first, everything else comes second, and he had kids and stuff, and he was like, I missed every birthday, I missed every first step, I missed everything, and he was like, don't do that. He was like, look, and it was interesting to me because I was looking at a dude that I saw as myself in 10 years, and he was just like, don't do that. He was like, you need to talk to your band and tell them that you're not willing to miss your kids growing up.
Certain people have a little bit of resentment towards some of us that are forcing the hand to kind of stop. Chris and I and James, people with kids,
I think those dudes don't want to be there anymore.
Being single, you don't understand that. When I was single, I didn't understand it.
I think you can have a family and be 100% dedicated to music. Your family just has to be understanding of what it is that you do.
I don't like the idea of having to look at my kids and my wife and sacrifice my art because I know I have to feed them. That's where my line of art comes before all things stops. My family comes before everything, including art, and I would rather work a normal job than sacrifice my art to feed my family.
When we're all on the same page, being on the same page spiritually, where we would question, we're like, man, do we want to call ourselves a Christian band? Because Christian in America especially has become this thing that we're not sure if we want to be associated with. Christianity in America is really it's become a brand and a market in a lot of ways. If you go into a Christian bookstore, they have Jesus mints and pens and bumper stickers and all this stuff.
I just didn't like what was happening around it, around the word Christian. Like, we automatically hate this, we judge these people, we're this, that, and the other, and that's not the way I felt. I'm not saying all Christians feel that way, but a lot of them do, and a lot of the Christian people I met in this industry, and just that were diehard like Christian music fans, were some of the most judgmental people I'd ever met in my life. And I didn't want anything to do with it. I was almost so angry about it that I'd do things on purpose just to make a statement. And that's not who I am, I'm not that kind of person. Like, I love everyone, and I'm very open and nice, and I'll hear anyone out, and man, but it just pissed me off the way some of these people would act, and they're just so holier than thou, and I found a hard time believing in it after a while. Like, the way you show up to a Christian festival and all these dudes running it, or just the way they were talking, I was just like, it just sounded fake. And that was me starting to judge other people, because I'd just been around all this crap for so long. It got to the point where it was just like killing me.
It got to the point a year or two ago where we all sat down and we were like, yeah, everybody's not on the same page that they used to be on.
At that point, for me, as a Christian, to keep claiming that we were a Christian band was being dishonest. That made more sense to me than trying